It's exactly 8:39 a.m. South African time, and we now have online Dr. Medhat Abbas. He's consultant in medical office of the Health of International Cooperation. And we understand that on Thursday, the Philippines voted at the United Nations Human Rights Council in favor of the establishment of an investigation committee against Israel over its Operation Guardian of the Walls. During the Israeli offensive, more than 250 Palestinians were killed in the besieged Gaza Strip, and over 2,000 people were injured. But of course, the Philippines government has been called out on this issue. Israel is not happy with them at all. Assalamu alaikum, welcome to the program.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Not a very nice situation to be in, is it? You've been called out. Israel's not happy with the statement that you have made in favor of the Palestinian people, in full support of the Palestinians.
Well, I came to know that they have summoned the envoy of the Philippines for supporting the Human Rights Committee pro-war. And that indicates for me that they are not willing for anybody to investigate the war crimes committed against the civilians in Gaza Strip. Let me admit to you that almost 250, the vast majority are civilians they are attacking, and they have attacked domestic zones fully inhabited by people during midnight, and sometimes it happened many times. It happened without any pre-warning. So the problem is that you're sleeping at your house, you don't know at what time they're going to attack, and they're attacking us from afar. So you do not hear the voice of the warplane before attacking you. In fact, they have been using the so-called F-35, the most advanced warplane in the world. And you don't see that warplane at all. It attacks us from almost 100 kilometers far, and it has the ability to attack almost many targets at the same time. So it was midnight, and then we hear too much loud explosions, and then he came to know from the media that those people were killed, or that number of people were attacked, or that number of people or victims are under the rubble. So, and they have attacked health facilities, by the way. Let me admit that one of my colleagues was working in a clinic called a Rimal clinic. His name is Dr. Majid Salha. He was hit by shrapnel in his head, and now he's critically ill in the intensive care unit, while 2 other doctors were killed inside their homes with their entire family. For that reason, those were crimes because they always run away with it. And that's not the first time they attack health facilities and ambulances in Gaza Strip. They have done the same crime in 2014 and before that many times. And every time they are not held accountable for all what they do in Gaza. That's why they keep repeating the same crimes, and they're quite sure that the international community is not going to punish them. Nobody is going to offer any pressure to stop them committing further crimes in Gaza Strip. So I hope that this
Dr.
time...
Abbas,
pardon me?
Dr. Abbas,
yeah.
The Israelis and the Western world are claiming that the Israelis have bombed Gaza simply because they were protecting themselves against terrorists. We, as the rest of the Muslim Ummah, know that that is not true. We know that the Palestinian people are living under very extremely difficult conditions, that apartheid is not even a word to use. It is it's 100 times worse than apartheid as we knew it in South Africa. So we are with you, we care, and we support the Palestinian people. But why are the Israelis claiming that these attacks were provoked, number one? And are you pleased with the support by the Philippines people and other support that you're getting from other parts of the world?
Well, that's a long story. I mean, when our land was occupied in 1948, we have never ever attacked anybody. We were just living in peace. Our people were killed and they were forced to flee their homeland, and now they are becoming displaced in many countries in the world. The other thing is that, go back to the story of this aggression, the last aggression, when they have provoked the people living in Sheikh Jarrah in Jerusalem, and they have attacked also the mosque. Al-Masjid al-Aqsa, they were also invading it every now and then. That provocation was not accepted by any means, by all of us, by all of you. Nobody would accept that. Some people living in their homelands for hundreds of years, and then a settler come and kick them out. That's why Gaza said, for God's sake, stop provoking our feelings. Deal with us as human beings. But they have never ever done that before, and that's why this. And then they started immediately by very excessive force to attack all civilians targets inside Gaza. Imagine that civil towers were attacked, and the people here in Gaza were just forced to defend themselves. With let me say, I'm not military. I have nothing to do with any military, but the things that Gaza has is some tools which are very primitive when you compare them with the F-35, which are very sophisticated and highly advanced weapons. That all of we have been bombarded heavily by heavy artillery bombardment from the land side, and we were attacked by the Navy and warplanes. At the same time, even drones were participating in that. They haven't left our skies for 24 hours a day during the aggression, and now. For that reason, when somebody comes to the victim and say, why you are defending yourself, that's ridiculous from my point of view. In fact, they have attacked us, and they are imposing a siege which is lasting today for 15 years on our people. Despite Corona, that siege was not uplifted till this moment. And today, this aggression has happened, and nobody knows at what time they're going to repeat the same crime and attack Gaza once again.
All right. Dr. Abbas, we understand that a ceasefire has been agreed upon. Is that in fact true? And what's the situation like for the people in Gaza? Have things normalized? Are you able to start picking up the pieces? We also understand that other countries have pledged monies to start helping rebuild the infrastructure in Gaza.
Well, the second day after this aggression, the ceasefire declaration, I drove my car in Gaza City, and I haven't recognized many of the main streets because they were changing totally to rubble. I mean, even main streets leading to the biggest hospital in Gaza, it was also destroyed. So I don't know, but okay, thanks for extending a helping hand to all of us. But of course, things are never back to normal, simply because almost 9 families were whipped from the civil registry, and they were killed totally. And today, okay, we will still have the pain. We have not slept for 11 days during that war continuously, simply because of the bombardment day and night on our heads. So we are now having the so-called post-traumatic stress disorder. The majority of the people now need psychological support in Gaza Strip. And as I keep repeating that, nobody understand at what time they will plan to attack the civilians once again. You don't feel safe inside Gaza. And we still have shortage of medication and medical supplies, and of course utilities needed for the emergency rooms and operation rooms, plus the intensive care units. And let me remind you back that Corona is not finished yet, and we still more than 1,000 Palestinians who have died already because of Corona, and now we're back to the battle of Corona with very minimal resources available in the Palestinian Ministry of Health in Gaza.
My final question to you is, we understand that we're talking about the ceasefire. We're also talking about foreign aid coming into the country. Will the Israelis allow the foreign aid to come through, number one? And question number two, we've also been told that the Israelis have warned people in the buildings that they intend firing and blowing up, that the Palestinians are given a warning to evacuate the area, possibly half an hour before they're going to strike. Is that true, or is it just false claims they're making to the rest of the world?
They are allowing some of the goods to get inside Gaza, but they are classifying goods coming to Gaza into 2 types. Or they say they are having dual use of using weapons and civil use. Of course, that's very ridiculous. So imagine that a full nation is being controlled by some other people who are considered enemies, and they hate us. They don't want us to live. So they would allow some food to get inside. They would allow a very many amount of fuel. Imagine that we have only electricity today for 6 hours per 24 hours a day. So they are controlling everything getting inside Gaza. So we do not die, and we do not live normally, but we do not suffocate just to keep floating without drowning. This is what they do. And by the way, they are very smart doing that. Whenever they open the door for anything to get inside Gaza, they just bring the cameraman and they show to all the media and the international community, look how we are helping them. And no, that's not the reality. In fact, we cannot travel till now. We are still having closure of the borders, and they are still controlling our sea, our air, our land, and that's the reality on the ground.
Okay, the second question. Israel claims, we know that the bombardments have stopped now, but at the time they were bombarding Gaza, that they did give the citizens fair warning, half an hour beforehand, to evacuate the buildings, etc., so that they didn't kill innocent men, women, and children. Is that a fact, or is that not true?
It happens sometimes, but not every time. Dr. Ayman Abul Auf, the internal medicine specialist, he was my colleague. I was the head of the hospital in which he was working once upon a time. And then that guy, he was living in his house with his wife and children, and he was attacked without any pre-warning to kill 40 people in 3 blocks that were attacked without any sort of pre-warning. And that's why this is explaining why 40 civilians were killed at once during midnight. I will never ever forget that day. So pre-warning was not given to everywhere. They sometimes yes, sometimes no. That's the matter of fact, and that was witnessed by the ICRC and the WHO and all the representative of international media inside Gaza.
Dr. Medhat Abbas, Jazakallah for talking to us. Our prayers and support with the Palestinian people always. It will never waver. Just know that we as South Africans are behind you. Salaam alaikum to you.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you so much. Thank you, and have a nice day. Goodbye.
8:50, and after talking to Dr. Abbas, him wishing me to have a nice day, you wonder the circumstances. He's just graphically described the circumstances that they're living under, and he still has the dignity to wish me a nice day living here in the land of milk and honey. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. It's exactly 8:51 a.m.